Hey guys, Keaton here from TechSmart, and today we're going to be comparing the brand new Pebble Steel to the kind of older Samsung Galaxy Gear, and both of these smartwatches are absolutely fantastic, and they kind of fit two different types of consumers, and I really want to find out which is the best for which type of consumer, and which is truly the best bang for your buck. So quick note before we get into the comparison itself, if you guys want to win in Samsung Galaxy Gear or the brand new Pebble Steel, drop me a like down below, and while you're at it, drop me a comment down below letting me know which smartwatch you'd like to win. I'm really appreciative of all the support you guys have given us, and I'd like to go ahead and get back to you with some cool wearables like these new smartwatches. So without further ado, let's go and find out which is the best bang for your buck. So when you purchase the Samsung Galaxy Gear and the Pebble Steel, you're greeted with a few goodies within the box. So starting off with the Pebble Steel, once the top is popped, you see the gorgeous and luxurious smartwatch, and believe me, it looks absolutely fantastic. Up next, we have our two wrist straps, which are the steel band and leather band. Now, customizability of the bands is a lot more skewed than it was on the traditional Pebble, but the company has stated that they'll be rolling out more bands in the future, so that's always a big plus for customizability. Now, the bands feel fantastic and just feature the utmost quality, and that's something that I really do like on the Pebble Steel. And then up next we have some literature, which nobody ever really reads, and then the charging cable, which is different than the original Pebble's cable. So if you bought a ton of original Pebble cables to charge your original Pebble smartwatch, you're kind of out of luck and you'll have to go ahead and adopt the new type of cable, but I feel that it's a little bit more magnetic, so it's not always that bad. So on the other side of the table here, we are greeted with the Galaxy Gear, and it comes in a myriad of colors, and I kind of do like that, how you can kind of express which type of colors you want on your wrists with the Galaxy Gear. So in the box, you are presented with the watch at first sight. Then on the side, you're greeted with the funky charging cable, and we'll get into that a little bit later, a micro USB charging plug, and then the literature, which again, nobody really reads because it's kind of almost self-taught, and I think that's half the fun with these products. So moving on to hardware, both of these watches feature a unique experience. Both of these could be classified as luxury smartwatches, but only one can truly fulfill this title, as I like a watch that does give you a nice luxury experience, but also brings that core functionality that you do want in a smartwatch. So starting off with the Pebble Steel here, it feels absolutely phenomenal. I was keen on the initial Pebble and was a backer of it on Kickstarter, and I've just been in love with the entire concept from the start. So the watch face feels solid but carries a bit of weight to it, but that's not truly a deal breaker for me, as I kind of justify a watch being solid with the weight to it. It's just kind of the way my mind works. Also, the face is pretty appealing, and the display is the same size as it is on the original Pebble. Now, the display looks fantastic and is surrounded by Gorilla Glass, and I really like the e-paper kind of display and how crisp everything truly is on it. Now, the bands express the business class of this watch, as both the leather band and the stainless steel band look elegant, and I could easily rock both of these in any type of setting. Now, they also feel pretty comfortable on the wrist, and that was kind of something I didn't really like about the initial Pebble, but I was able to kind of change that around with different bands I was able to pick up from third parties. So the charging cord is slightly more magnetic on this one, and is definitely different than you would see in the initial Pebble, and this is good because sometimes when you're charging it, the cord would become disconnected and you just find out that your watch wasn't charging after all. So I do like the new kind of charging cord on here. Now, the buttons feel absolutely tactile on this watch, and that is something that I was a big lover on the initial Pebble, because I want to make sure I can get the tactility and the responsiveness when I am pretty much clicking a button, and this is definitely prominent on the Pebble Steel. It also features a RGB LED for notifications if you want to go ahead and see them on the watch. So overall, I'm a big fan of the hardware on the brand new Pebble Steel, and I definitely do think it is a big step up from the traditional Pebble that we've seen in the past. So while the Pebble Steel looks cool, the Galaxy Gear brings some notable hardware features to the table. Starting off, the watch has a good weight to it, and it's solely a touchscreen display with just one button on the side. So the touchscreen is pretty responsive, and it's in full color, so there's definitely a different experience there. Now, in terms of the band, it's not customizable at the moment of recording this video, and it feels a bit plasticky and irritating on your wrist, and there's a reason for it not being customizable, and that's because on this watch there's a camera. Yes, you heard me right, it's on the camera. It's kind of bulging out, and it looks a bit weird when you're walking around with a smartwatch, and I don't really know too many people that are going to take pictures with their smartwatch in public, but that's just me. I really didn't take pictures of anything, but it's okay. I mean, it's just a camera on a watch. So the watch feels clunky and on your wrist, and like the Pebble, which feels less obtrusive, I felt that the Galaxy Gear constantly reminded me of a G-Shock watch. No kind of beef to G-Shock, as I do like a G-Shock, but I always knew that I was wearing a smartwatch, and that's just not something that I want to do. So charging is another ordeal here, as you have to put the Galaxy Gear in the charging cradle, then plug the micro USB cable in there, and it's just so funky, and I really wish it was either Qi charging or just plugging a micro USB cable directly into the watch. It would save me a lot of hassle, and it just looks so weird to dock, but I guess it's just a minor gripe in my own personal experience. So while the Galaxy Gear might feature some caveats, the build quality on here is top notch. It actually features metal, and I'd say while the band is a bit irritating on my wrist, you can definitely feel that it's sturdy and it's not going to be ripping anytime soon. Let's go ahead and dive into the specifications. So the Pebble Steel is waterproof up to 5 atmospheres, so showering and light swimming should be no problem whilst wearing the Pebble Steel, and that's something I really like. I like to be able to stick it on my wrist and just kind of do what I do in life and be able to be notified without having to take the watch off to go take a shower when I do go swimming. So the Pebble Steel weighs 0.63 ounces more than its predecessor and clocks in at 3.49 ounces with the stainless steel band on. So this steel is also 1mm thinner than the original Pebble, which is a big plus in my book, because whenever things get smaller but still boast the functionality, or a lot better functionality than the traditional one, that's always a big plus in my book. So the Pebble Steel is advertised to last 5 to 7 days on a single charge and connects both to your iOS and Android device via Bluetooth, and I was able to get around 5 to 7 days with my Pebble Steel, so that should be no problem, and that's a big thing that I do like on this watch, is having a nice big battery life on there. So one more key detail, the Pebble Steel only has 8 memory slots, so you can fill it with 8 apps or 8 watch faces, so you can store specific apps in the Pebble locker, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later when we dive into the App Store part of this video. So moving to the Galaxy Gear, it features an 800 MHz processor, a 1.63-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 320 by 320. It looks absolutely marvelous and features a full color spectrum, which I truly do like. So a big differentiator on the Galaxy Gear is the fact that it possesses 4 GB of internal memory and 512 megabytes of RAM. And then just another big differentiator here is the fact that it features a camera on a smartwatch, which is something I personally didn't think of or think would ever really happen to wearables, at least on your wrist. And the camera itself comes in at 1.9 megapixels, and it can also do 720p HD video up to 15 seconds. So in terms of weight here, the Galaxy Gear clocks in at 2.6 ounces, which isn't too bad compared to the Pebble Steel. And the battery on the Galaxy Gear will last you around 1.5 days to 2 days if you push it. I was able to get around 1.5 days most times, but that can all really depend on how much you are using the smartwatch. So if you're just kind of having it on your wrist and maybe notifying you every once in a while, 2 days should be no problem. Let's go and dive into the software and App Store functionality. So the Galaxy Gear pairs up with Samsung devices only, obviously with Bluetooth, and the amount of devices that it pairs up to is seriously skewed. I believe only 12 devices made by Samsung are currently compatible at the time of recording this video. So when you do go ahead and pair up your Galaxy Gear to your Samsung device, you're immediately greeted with Gear Manager. So what Gear Manager is it's almost like your App Store or brains of the smartwatches. That's where you're able to download applications backed by Samsung and other third parties like TripIt and eBay. So there's some pretty big gaps with a lot of these applications, and they definitely do need to be filled at a later date. Obviously, with coming out with a different type of watch, such as the Samsung Galaxy Gear 2, or just a massive update to fix all these gaps. Now, Samsung's UI in the Gear is quite nice. I do enjoy how one thing is per one slide. So you just swipe to the next page or slide, for example, and you're able to do the next command, and it's very clear and crisp. Some of my favorite applications or tasks kind of include the dialer and phone. I think it's really cool to call people from a watch, as there is a microphone and speaker on there, and it's not half bad. And I just think it's super cool. You can actually call someone from a watch. I feel like James Bond or Inspector Gadget, truly. And also the voice memos is very helpful for when I get those sudden ideas and I just want to go ahead and record them. But one major letdown is the lack of Google Now support. But I think an adjustment in the future is definitely what we'll need. Either having a big update or just rolling out the Galaxy Gear 2 can kind of fix all these things and start to tailor the Galaxy Gear to a larger type of audience. Pebble just recently released their App Store compatible with both iOS and Android, but at the time of filming this video, only the iOS app was finished and downloadable. But don't worry, the Android one will be coming at a later date. The original Pebble had limited customizability, similar to the Galaxy Gear right now, and the apps weren't plentiful, and certainly the number of third parties that weren't really interested at all because they did not know if this kind of concept would take off. And yes, indeed, it did. That was then, but this is now. The Pebble App Store boasts apps, games, and beneficial tools that just make this watch truly a smartwatch. You can store all your apps and watch faces in the Pebble Locker, which keeps everything organized for your selection, and it's really easy to go and drag and drop them onto your Pebble smartwatch and just kind of keep them all organized within the locker, and I think that was brilliant on Pebble's part. So the cool thing is Pebble's App Store is compatible with both models, and that's a good thing because they could have easily made this proprietary to the Pebble Steel. Steel and pissed a lot of people off. So for some of you guys asking for my favorite apps or utilities to do on the Pebble is being able to see the weather, my stocks, and battery life. Those were really things I couldn't really find on the initial Pebble, so I'm super happy that you can go ahead and do that with a stock kind of face on the Pebble Steel. So on top of that, I can play games like Asteroids when I'm in class or on the train, which is super cool as I like to kind of game on a little screen, and I think that's kind of a neat thing, and I'd like to see a few more games, kind of retro-y games, come to the Pebble Steel. But I keep asking myself this question: what if Flappy Bird came to the Pebble smartwatch? Jeez, I would just absolutely lose it. So overall, I think Pebble has seen the market and adapted their already successful smartwatch, the original Pebble, to a platform to accommodate the demand and just give everyone what they want on a smartwatch and truly make it smart. But additionally, I think Samsung has the right motives with their Gear Manager, with more developer integration and support and more device compatibility. I think a software update or a second model is essential to take the Galaxy Gear to the top. So overall, if I had to make a recommendation for anyone who wanted to buy a Samsung Galaxy Gear or Pebble Steel, I'd definitely tell them to go with the Pebble Steel. The Pebble Steel starts at $249 and is featured in both the stainless steel and matte black configurations. So the Pebble Steel is an elegant, smart timepiece that I could easily rock at any type of business event without being questioned. The fact that the Pebble works with both iOS and Android is a big plus in my book, and that's definitely the explanation to why they are so popular. And the fact that you can swap out the bands, again, is a big plus in my book, mainly because you can go ahead and mix, match, customize, do whatever you want, as the Samsung Galaxy Gear does not feature that type of option. On top of all that, the Pebble app is littered with new features that justifies why you'd want to upgrade to the Steel over the original Pebble because of the extra memory space that you're going to be getting. So on the contrary, the Galaxy Gear is still a great smartwatch, and although it'll cost you around $299 and is featured in a myriad of colors starting from orange, green, rose gold, black and white, and just a few, I think there's a few other ones in there, it features a lot of problems. The Gear Manager is very limited, and the fact that it can only work with 12 devices and mainly just ones made by Samsung, it kind of is forcing you to, even if you want to go ahead and try this out, you're going to have a Samsung device, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I do think the cool features on here, the fact that the screen is colorful, it's very reactive, it's glass, and just the watch looks very elegant and high quality, I do like that a lot, and I do feel like James Bond having a camera and being able to make calls off a smartwatch, and I just constantly kept feeling badass that I had a camera on my smartwatch. I know it's really gimmicky, and it's kind of one of those things that's really something you wouldn't use and is very impractical, but you just feel like James Bond and definitely some kind of secret agent. So it's clear that Samsung has some improvement to make, and hopefully in the Galaxy Gear's predecessor, it can become more versatile and dominant and kind of build the Gear Manager up to where the Pebble App Store is right now. So at the end of the day, the Pebble or Pebble Steel is where your hard-earned dollars should be spent on a well-rounded wearable. Thank you guys once again for watching this comparison where we directly compared the brand new Pebble Steel to the Samsung Galaxy Gear. Just a note on the Samsung Galaxy Gear here, I think it has a lot of potential. I think with the second model or the Samsung Galaxy Gear 2, all Samsung really has to do is increase the apps founding Gear Manager and increase the amount of devices it can be used for, and I think this is definitely a home run. If you guys enjoyed this comparison, go ahead and drop me a like down below, as it lets me know you guys want more comparisons like this, and I'd be more than happy to push more out to you guys because I truly do enjoy these types of videos, and I like to see which device truly reigns top when you compare hardware, specifications, usability, etc., and it really just tells you, the consumer, which is the best bang for your buck. Also, drop me a comment down below letting me know which smartwatch you personally buy and which smartwatch you personally like to win, as I'll be giving away a few of these to a few random commenters. And be sure to follow me on social media, or especially on Twitter. It'll be on your screen right here, or a link right below that like button, and that's where I'll announce the winners of the smartwatches periodically. And finally, go and subscribe to the channel to be notified when I produce a brand new video on a new comparison or a new giveaway, things along those lines. It's free and it lets you know when a new video is coming your way. And there's an annotation on screen right now, or a link in the description below if you are watching on a mobile device. Thank you guys once again, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye bye.